Welcome back to the channel. Today we're installing some coilovers on the 2017 Q5S line. Before we do that though, I just want to talk about the infrequency of my uploads. So for a living I am an IT system analyst, so I spend a ton of time in front of a computer pretty much all day. So at the end of the day I just really do not want to edit videos. So this is going to be a quick one-take video, but you know, there's not a ton of guides out there, and the few YouTube videos that are out there about installing the coilovers on the Q5, they're just not great. In fact, they're actually pretty awful, and they make you, person who did a whole bunch of extra work that's not necessary at all. So I wanted to make a quick video, in case you haven't installed coilovers on your Q5 and you're thinking about it. Watch this video. The tips are super helpful, and hopefully we'll get some more uploads on the channel soon. Making content's not the problem at all. It's just finding the time and desire to edit. Anyways, let's get into it. The coilovers are already installed. That being said, since it did go quite a bit easier and smoother than expected, besides the rear struts, I just wanted to make a quick video with some tips, and yeah, so let's get into it. On the front here, well, first off, we installed the H&R kit for the B8.5. I'm sure it works with the A4 and all the other similar platforms as well. First impressions, really happy with it. Of course, the rear struts are not on there. We'll get to that. But looking at the front here, everything is installed. No real creaking, noises, nothing like that. Which I was expecting at least some type of creaking or popping from the sway bar end links. You know, they're kind of difficult to tighten. That is something that has to be done at load. But everything is solid so far, and it is very low. As you can see, we can go about 15 millimeters lower. We're actually going to raise up the rear. Right now they are matched with 15 millimeters to spare on each of them, but the rear should go a little higher. It's not exactly level right now, and we do want a little bit of a rake. But anyways, let's get into the installation. So this is it right here. Now, most importantly, when you install these, or really uninstall the factory ones, you don't need to do anything with the axle. You don't need to mess with the hub at all. Everything can pretty much stay as it is. You'll remove these lines here. Of course, just disconnect from the clips they're in so they don't get any type of damage or anything like that. You'll disconnect the, let's see if we can get it in focus here. You'll disconnect the sway bar end link, okay? Once that's free, you can loosen the top 4 strut mounting bolts. Simply loosen just a little bit, just so it can wiggle around a little bit, okay? Remove that bolt. Once that bolt is removed, where are we here? Let's see if we can get better light. So once that bolt is removed, come in here with your strut spreader. Just stick it in there, keep it in the open, spread position, and then you should be able to simply slide this entire arm, this arm right here, should be able to slide it down in between straddling the piece it's connected to, control arm. Once it's far enough down, it'll pop out of here, tilt it to the side, pull it out freely. Once that is out, your strut is just hanging out. All you have to do is loosen the other 4 bolts up top, and the entire thing comes right out. I guess the one part I skipped is, of course, these right here. Not a big deal. 16 millimeter wrench, no problem at all. So remove the lower arm, then remove the strut. You won't need to stress the components at all. You won't need to have someone stand on it. You won't need to get the grease out of the axle or open anything up. Very simple. Actually, much easier than anticipated. The only other important thing to note, and this is a one-sheet page in the H&R guide, so they do tell you about it, Up here, the upper rubber spring isolator, you do need to cut a little piece out of it. That is the spring stop. You will not use that with the H&R springs and coilovers, but you will leave the rest of it as it is. You can see there's actually a helper spring that's completely dead up there. Alright, so that's the front. Not bad at all. Of course, getting alignment done once you get your coilovers put on. The rears, the sides of the strut just not coming out. The issue I was encountering with that, let me get the light hanging here. I'll stick it right here. So in the rears, there is this pretty large bolt on the bottom of the strut. That guy right there is 21 millimeter and it's torqued to 110 from the factory. I could just not get that loose. What I'm doing is using a pretty new, actually, Milwaukee M18 second gen impact. Originally, I did not have the high output battery. I thought maybe it was just a lack of power. Picked up the high output battery and still not enough power to get to it. Googled it real quick, and there was a forum post about an Audi technician breaking the heads off, so I did not want to go too crazy. That's something where I'm happy to have Baker Garage, who's doing the alignment, also toss on the rear struts, make it their problem if something breaks. I don't think it will. I think a little bit of heat and a little bit better of an impact, more powerful of an impact, it would come right out. I didn't want to go down the heat route because I do have to drive the car for about a week before my appointment at Baker Garage. Didn't want to destroy the bushings or cause more damage and then not have a vehicle. So we'll let them do the rear struts, but I'm sure it is something that can be done pretty easily at home. Now the important part here is a lot of people seem to struggle with the rear springs. It's not difficult at all, and it takes actually, one person can do it pretty easily. Let me just get the light positioned here. Okay, so this is the rear spring housing. There is enough room. You can take a basic spring compressor, and of course this is with the factory spring. Now we don't need a spring compressor at all. You can fit a regular standard spring compressor on one side, fit one right here on the other side between that arm. Just use a spring compressor, compress the spring, it'll slip right out even with the compressors on it. There is more than enough clearance. You don't have to step on the hub at all. You don't have to stress the components. It will come right out, no problem at all. Other than that, hopefully you guys have better luck on that rear strut than I did. Car only has 14,000 miles, so it is surprising that we were having such issues, but also not surprising as it seems like that is difficult for a lot of people. Let's just talk about tools real quick that you'll need for the install. I did purchase this specialty spring compressor under the hopes of it making the rear springs a lot easier to compress. It's pretty similar to the OEM Volkswagen one in the manner that they use it to remove the rear springs. Basically, this is supposed to clamp onto the arms internally. This does thread through. There's a hole in the bottom of the spring perch, and then this grabs the bottom of the spring. The issue I was running into is mainly these guys just not gripping onto the spring tight enough, so it was spinning, coming down, the spring not maintaining pressure. So I would not recommend it for this application. It will be getting returned to Amazon. But of course, the trusty old $20 spring compressors you can get anywhere. They did come in handy. That is something I would recommend for this job. You'll need them as well for the fronts because you will have to reuse the upper assembly. Of course, it is that large aluminum piece that connects the end links or whatever those are to the rest of the assembly. Beyond that, it's definitely worth spending the $20 at Harbor Freight to get a go-through, pass-through socket set. Super cheap. Get that on the top of your strut. Get your Allen key through there, and you can tighten on that top hat without using the impact. Some people do use the impact. Don't do that on your brand new coilovers. There's no reason to incorrectly do it. It's $20 to do it the right way. And then, of course, the strut spreader will be super, super handy. We'll try to get one that has a little bit of a flat side on the spread position because it will stay locked there. You can pop your socket right off of it and you're good to go. Then of course a torque wrench. You can find the torque values pretty easily online for when you're putting everything back together. And then most importantly, when you are putting everything back together, the sway bar end links do need to be tightened at load. But you can easily reach your hand under the car while the wheels are on, while it's not jacked up, and tighten those down once everything is settled and sitting. No reason to try to make it more difficult than it needs to be. And of course it is jacked up right now for this video and also so I can adjust the rear, but just so you guys have an idea of what it does look like. Of course this is going to be a little lower than it was before. Now the back end actually looks kind of high because it is jacked up, but we're looking at right around 29.5 floor to fender. Didn't measure the rear because they're going to get adjusted. Alignment next week. These are 21-inch SQ5 wheels. The speed lines. Did get them freshly powder coated in black, gloss black. So they'll be going on with the flush kit spacers as soon as everything comes in, as soon as it all gets aligned. But I hope you found this video useful. Hope you found it helpful. If you watch the other video on YouTube with the coilover install, it is a good starting point. I used that video, a couple of service guides, a couple other write-ups, cross-referenced a few other guides for other model but similar platform Audis, and that's kind of how I came up with the way I did it. I'm not saying it's the right way, not saying it's the wrong. Any other way is the wrong way, but it was very simple, and there was no real issues at all. Super smooth. All right, enjoy. Okay, just wanted to make a quick follow-up video here. Only really messed around with this strut, and that's the one that I was having difficulties with, so didn't really attempt the other side. While I was adjusting the height on the other side, I decided to go ahead and just give that strut a shot, and it came off without any problem at all. One hit of the impact. So I did decide to go back to this side. I wasn't going to have a shop just do one strut. Can't be defeated by a strut. So combination of a bit of heat, a breaker bar to get it just a bit loose, and then the impact to actually get it out of there. Did indeed get the strut out of there. So we'll go ahead and finish up the other strut, this strut, then we have completely installed the H&R coilover system. So yeah, definitely a little nervous, did not want to break that head off, but you know, just yeah, went at it safely, and pretty happy with the outcome. So we'll go ahead and finish the strut up and we'll be done.